Hey guys, welcome to a full gameplay commentary. My name is Anonymouseo. I am a support and mid main. I'm actually started playing with mid, and then in the last season or season and a half, I've actually just focused on playing a lot of support. I'm really not too sure why, but it just felt fun to me, so I started playing it. I was getting a little tired of mid anyway. So in this game, I do want to try to cover a lot of what I see occurring in low elo games, particularly from a support and bot lane standpoint, and things that I've done to get myself out of bronze, currently into silver 4. However, I don't get a chance to really play ranked a lot. I do work full time. So I'm getting there slowly, but I've actually been able to successfully play Brand for about 45 games this season, I believe, and I actually got myself from Bronze 3 to Silver 4. So hopefully, there's a couple things that'll be able to teach you to help you carry yourself from lower elos and trying to possibly get into like gold using some of these tips. The main thing when playing Brand is he is a lane bully. You're definitely going to want to look to poke, so start your W, because your W is an AoE, and it does scale really hard into the game. So always try to start with your W. Here, unfortunately, my ADC does get caught by the QE combo, gets hit by the Ignite. Not a whole lot that you can really do there. That stuff's gonna happen. Don't flame, don't rage. It doesn't help anybody. At this point, I just want to try to keep the lane frozen if possible. And then, if I can, just last hit to pick up minions. This way, I get the gold for it, because who else is going to get it? I might as well at least just get it myself. And this is also going to give me solo XP, which is always good. It's unfortunate for my carry, but it's good for me. But you can see, just how much damage that W does. Lucian, he's already almost on half health. And if you look, he still has one pot, but that's not going to heal him for that much. So as we move into the game, laning phase continues. Try not to hit the minions with your W, because you don't want to push the lane too much. Not this early on in the game, anyway. You don't want to push the lane too much to where you're putting yourself at risk of being ganked. Because you're out of position and you're overextended. So when you try to go for poke as Brand, try to make sure that you wait until they're not directly on top of the minions before you hit them. I break this rule myself all the time. I'm really bad at following my own advice, but it is something that I need to work on myself. But at this point, I'm really just focusing on trying to poke, their bot lane out of the lane. So you can see right here, technically this would not be a very smart W, because there's a chance I may end up killing this minion and a chance I may end up killing this minion, which is just 2 CS less for my AD carry. That's going to put them, another 30 gold behind right there. But I am going to get some damage off on Lucian, so I'm not sure you could really call that worth, but it could be worth it. But we do get quite a bit of good damage down on Lucian and on Pyke. So they're burning through their pots left and right. I actually haven't used any of mine, and my AD carry still has his pot. So at this point, we're just looking to try to get this wave pushed under the turret. So when Pyke starts doing this, for some reason I see this happening all the time. When you see a champion that has a CC ability like this, such as Thresh or Pyke, even someone that doesn't make it as obvious, such as Morgana or Blitz, you just see them walking into a weird position. Just hide behind minions. I see this happening so often. People that have some kind of a displacement or stun CC that's a skill shot, they will start walking in weird lines like this, because you see how obviously there's a pretty big gap from the front minions, the melee, to the creeps. The range creeps. There's this nice little open window. Obviously, Pyke can't hit a skill shot through the minions with his Q, so he's going to start walking up to try to align himself with that open window to throw the skill shot. So when you start seeing him do weird stuff like that, all you got to do is just position yourself behind the minions. Like, you see how the carry is behind the minions here? I'm right here. Technically, if he tried to Q, it would just hit one of these creeps anyway. But you see, just immediately, duck back, the minions push forward, he pulls a minion. So that's a spell that's on cooldown for him, and that gives us the ability to walk up, you know, auto, get poke, hit the tower, whatever it is that we need to do at that current point in time. That's going to give us the positioning that we need. So try to keep in mind cooldown windows. That's, you know, that's something that's very important. If you see Pyke throw his Q and he misses, go in and try to trade on him, because that Q is not going to come back up instantly. You know, it's going to be at least 8 to 10 seconds before he can throw it again. But at this point, they're backing, so we just need to shove this up and try to go back. So on the first back, what I like to do is try to get my Frostfang, boots, and then at least 1 or 2 health pots, and a control ward if I can afford it. For me personally, I find that to be the most efficient back. You're not sitting in lane too long. It still gives you AP, it gives you some movement speed, which as Brand is very important to have movement speed. And then of course pots and control wards are just extras if you can get them. But here again, the wave is actually frozen. They weren't able to successfully fully push it under the turret. So what I do is I do auto the minions each 1 time, because at this point in the game, a range creep will take 3 auto attack or 2 autos from the tower to kill it. So if you auto it once and then a tower shot hits it, it'll have just enough health for your AD carry to just hit it with 1 auto and be able to get the CS. So I have a tendency to auto the minions once at this point in the game if they're starting to get close to turret. Here they go in for a trade. Unfortunately for me, I did get hit by that. So I'm actually going to rewind that and play it again. So this was just terrible positioning on my part. Again, me not taking my own advice. So here we have creeps. I get a little too overconfident when I hit with that right there. So I hit him with my W, my Pillar of Flame or Pillar of Fire, whatever it's called. I thought I was going to be able to hit him with my Q, so I was positioning myself to see if I could get close enough to hit him with an E to get my passive on him. Unfortunately, he E's and my Q missed, so now I'm out of position. I have nothing to cover me, and you can see Pyke is already looking for his Q. So I'm going to eat the Q, immediately get hit by the stun, and at this point I'm just kind of screwed. But luckily for me, because my carry died earlier, I got solo XP, so I'm actually already 6. So this is where things are actually going to play in positively, because I immediately drop ult ignite on Pyke, and you can see just that damage from pretty much my ult alone is actually almost enough to kill Lucian. My carry was just short on damage. Lucian does end up surviving with 135 health. So that was just really unfortunate, honestly. But we still traded positively. We got the kill on Pyke, you know, which is good. At least my AD carry got an assist. Unfortunately, he didn't get the kill. Still got an assist, though. So that's still going to be worth it for us, because at least we trade positively, you know, 1 for 1. They do end up getting the kill there on Lucian. Because Lucian's dead, I just start rolling in on Pyke just to get some damage on him. Try to bully him out of the lane again. But then we are actually going to look to push the rest of the wave here up to the tower. Try to get Lucian to miss as much of the CS as possible. And then I'm just going to auto the tower here a few times to get that passive. And Heimerdinger actually ends up roaming down. Able to get some good damage off on him. Akali comes in really hard. Unfortunately, she's not able to pick up. I'm not too sure exactly why the ADC was staying here and autoing the Heimer turret. Because it actually did enough damage, put him out of position for Lucian to actually flash Q, and then hit him with one of the autos to actually kill him. So that was pretty unfortunate, but, you know, it happens. So I'm really just staying in the bot lane right now, trying to make sure Akali doesn't die, make sure they can't just freely push it to the turret, clearing out the waves as much as I can. But this is a really important mistake that's made right here. So Pyke knew that Akali was just bot. I hate that it finishes that recall noise. So Pyke knew that Akali was bot. we're obviously here. I'm guessing he thought she had already backed. Technically, she was backing. But I'm guessing he thought she had already finished backing. So he's actually going to come and W in, get spotted by the Akali. And now you notice his ADC is way back there, and he is way up here, surrounded by 3 of us. Granted, he does E out, and he's able to stay relatively safe. He actually gets a good pull on the Akali, and actually gets the kill on her, but it's actually not good enough. We do trade positively again. The flash was questionable, but I do want to just explain why I flashed, for anybody that was wondering. So right here, we get the kill there. I was still walking forward or pathing forward to try to chase in case we actually didn't have enough damage to get the kill onto Pyke. But now at this point, I'm technically out of position here. So instead, I throw the auto. So Lotion had his Q on me. I wasn't sure if the kill was going to register in time before his autos went through, so I flashed away to try to get out of his auto attack range, and because I wasn't sure if they had a ward in this bush or not. So I tried to flash it into the bush to make sure that I wasn't in his auto attack range in case his auto attack actually registered before the kill. Luckily, it doesn't seem that was the case, so I actually made it out alive. But just in case, I at least wanted to explain my thought process behind the flash. You know, just for my own sake. I don't want to look like a total idiot. But at this point, this is all pretty standard stuff. Push the lane to turret. Maokai TP's down. So that's the summoner spell wasted. We're just going to back here. So at this point, I'm actually going to finish the second tier support item. Then I'm actually going to pick up Sork boots. So for me personally, probably the best, I guess, item pathing that I use for probably about 99% of my games is going to be first back, you get Frostbang and boots with a Potter control ward. Second back, you're going to look to upgrade your support item if you haven't already. Get Sork boots, and then start building into a Liandry's Torment. As Liandry's Torment is a really good item for Brand because his passive already does % health, and Liandry's also does % health. It also gives you health and gives you AP. So it's essentially the item just synergizes very well with Brand. Of course, they had 3 bottom, so we're just kind of playing it safe. I notice Zilean is getting caught out. I go up here to save him, which works, but now I find myself out of position surrounded by 3 of them, but Amumu comes in and gets a god tier ult off with my ult bouncing. So the amount of damage going off right now is insane. So we're able to immediately kill Pyke. My passive actually kills Heimerdinger. And then it looks like Nautilus is about to get away, but Amumu with the hook, or I guess the bandage toss, gets the bandage toss. So we actually get a kill and 2 assists there. So definitely worth in my book. And then Amumu is able to actually go in, and I think he actually is able to steal their red, since obviously their jungler, Nautilus, is dead. So it's a really good call on Amumu's part. But again, we're going to fast forward through all this stuff. I'm actually roaming mid, because I think they had originally 2 mid and Zilean was getting low. So I was just going to have my ADC hang back under turret. I was going to roam mid to try to help him out so that he didn't die. Looks like my ADC was still pushed up a little too far for comfort. So I actually start pathing down that way to go towards bot lane to try to see if we can pick up the kill on Lucian. Unfortunately, Jinx had already died at that point. So I was actually going to try to just go in on the Lucian to see if I could pick up the solo kill on him. I just wait for him to use his E as best I can. He ends up flashing. Get a lot of damage off on him, but this is where I make a mistake. So because we have no vision here, I actually just did not notice, obviously, that Pyke was coming in, and I saw that that Lucian was almost dead, because we do have some wards in that bush. So I saw that Lucian was almost dead. In my brain, I'm thinking, yeah, I'll just go in and kill him. I see Pyke. I'm like, oh crap, well, I've already committed this hard. Dodge the Q, he gets the stun. But once again, there's that sad little mummy bastard coming in to save the day. So I see a Mumu is coming in, so I just immediately try to drop my ult off before the Pyke ult goes through, because I know it's going to bounce. It's going to do a ton of damage because Brand ult does prioritize targets that are ablaze. So, you know, basically if you've hit any minion or champion with any one of your spells, that target is ablaze, so your ult is going to prioritize it. So I just try to get my ult down so it's just doing damage as much as possible, and it does enough damage where Amumu can actually get the kill on Lucian, and then he just he runs Pyke down, hits him with the bandages, gives him the bitch slap for the kill. So pick up another 2 assists there for my death. We get the kill on bot lane, which is going to allow us to pressure, which is, again, always a good thing. And that's going to allow us to essentially just farm the lane up. So at this point, for some reason, my camera is not wanting to switch to me. I don't understand why. But I actually go mid because I do see that we have the bottom lane won, essentially. We killed the turret. Zilean is almost dead, so I'm going to try to just come up mid, try to help push. Unfortunately, you know, not a whole lot really happens. They still have 3 mid, so I am just hanging out up here, trying to help protect the turret. Unfortunately, my ADC does get hit by a Q under tower bot lane and dies. That was truly unfortunate, but we do get top, so we essentially traded bot turret for top turret. So I'm okay with that. Actually, I do end up saving it. Okay, my bad. So technically we traded positive there, because we got top lane. They were not able to get bot lane, so we still came out in front. Again, you know, I'm just trying to get whatever CS I can. I'm terrible at CSing with Brand under turret, I know. I just play him support, okay? But really I'm just trying to make sure that they're not able to get a free turret. I'm going to start roaming up towards mid because Pyke is mid. Unfortunately, my ADC does end up running into Lucian again, but they were able to get away. But this was a pretty big fight positionally. So Pyke, the really hard thing about Pyke is he has to commit to the fight. You know, he can hit the Q, but if he E-dashes in, there is really no going out. And that's essentially, you know, what happens here. He actually pulls a Mumu in, and at that point he's surrounded by 3 of us, and I'm just able to just put tons of damage onto the Maokai, because Brand is a tank killer. That is exactly what Brand is good at, is absolutely destroying tanks. Heimerdinger gets hit by a double bomb from Zilean, really good job by him, and we're able to finish the little Heimerdinger off. They do get bot lane. We just continue trying to push in mid lane, doing whatever we can, get as much damage as possible, and keep this turret safe. So everybody starts rowing up towards the mid lane. It's a party. I decide to go back and shop. I finish my Liandry's at this point. So I do have Liandry's Torment. So I get health, AP, deal 2% more damage for each second in combat with champions up to 10%. And then spells burn enemies for 3 seconds, dealing bonus magic damage equal to 1% of their max health per second. And it's doubled against movement impaired units. So obviously that's really good for Brand. And you can see in this fight, like, I just absolutely destroy people. Zilean hits me with a really nice ult here, actually saves my life. But we're able to get so much damage down that their tank just gets destroyed. So their squishies get destroyed even harder. And I actually end up picking up a double here. And we actually have an ace. I do start pinging to do Baron, but for whatever reason, our jungler really did not want to do Baron. We do get into another fight mid. Able to pick up the turret there, almost get a kill. But one of the main things is when you're playing Brand in team fights, it's really important to make sure that your positioning is good. So like right here, obviously this is probably not the greatest position for me. Wow, that is a really annoying sound, whatever it is. But this is not the best position for me. I'm the only target that Pyke needs to hit, and I'm the only target that Nautilus needs to hit. And they both have CC. So that could have been very dangerous for me. However, if you look at the mini-map, it is Amumu here, myself here, Zilean here, Jinx here, and it's just the two of them. That's it. It's really just the two of them there. Everybody else is here mid. So they're outnumbered. Lucian is down here by himself. So they're completely surrounded and completely outnumbered. So I immediately just start, doing rotations of spells, kill their jungler. That allows us to secure the dragon. So now that Lucian is here by himself, they're pretty much peeling away. They're going to look to re-engage, but for now, Lucian is caught way out of position. So just go chasing on him. Unfortunately, they do go flashing in. My AD carry was stuck a little bit behind on the fight. He gets pulled in. He gets CC'd for about 12 years. Runs into the dragon pit. So we have to start chasing back in. But I get a really nice ult off here. And just look at the amount of damage. I mean, that's a Maokai, and keep in mind, this Maokai does have a Spectre's Cowl with Mercury Treads, because he is fighting an Akali. So he bought MR, and a decent amount of it. Still able to just completely burn through him. So we're actually going to go back here. I think I pick up Rylai's, yes. So Rylai's is an item that synergizes incredibly well. So I get Rylai's and a Blasting Wand at this point. Because Rylai's is actually going to apply a slow for each ult hit. So each time your ult bounces to somebody, it's going to refresh that Rylai's slow. Which is perfect, because that's going to allow me to chase harder, put more W's, more Q's, more E's, overall get more passive procs, and just deal more damage. So now we're just going to push down mid. Currently, it is essentially a 3v4 mid, but with how far ahead we are, we're willing to take the fight. But look at the damage. That's on a full tank Maokai. That's just my damage alone on a full tank Maokai. But Amumu gets a god tier ult. I flash in, drop my ult, and it's just over right there. End up actually picking up a quadra kill. That was just really bad positioning on their part. So whenever you're playing against an Amumu, the last thing that you want to do is this right here. You do not want to group up like that. That is a death sentence against Amumu and Brand. So Amumu hits an amazing ult. I flash in, immediately drop my R onto the Nautilus, the closest person. So the rotation is actually really fast. It's actually kind of hard to show. I'll try to put it in slow motion so that you can see it a little bit better. So again, that's just like 2 rotations on Maokai and I almost kill him. So again, Amumu gets a disgusting ult, flash in, so I ult, immediately go to Q for the stun, W, E, and there it is. There's just passive, ult is bouncing back and forth, it's hitting everybody, more passive marks, Heimerdinger's dead. My Comet actually gets me the kill on Pyke, so that was kind of lucky, because I think he would have made it out alive. And Lucian just, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's all alone. We're really fed. He's not going to be able to do anything. So at this point, we're just looking to push. We actually get mid turret, push mid inhibitor, and then we make the call for Baron. We actually didn't even make it to Baron. We immediately get in another fight again with the same results. So they're fighting in a very tiny corridor, which is exactly what Brand wants. Brand wants you in a small confined area because that means that no one has any way to get away from my ult. So the ult is going to be bouncing and proccing on everybody. Luckily, at this point, I hadn't actually used my ult just yet, but still, with my W and my E, that's going to set everything around ablaze anyway, so it's going to make passive procs go off like crazy, even if I don't use ult. So at this point, Maokai actually came in from behind and went in on the Zilean, and I could see here he was actually going in to try to just gap close on me by using Zilean. So at this point, I know he's coming for me, and this is something that I don't see often enough in lower elo. Which this is probably one of the key things that's going to get you out of bronze, get you through silver, and get you into gold. Past gold, things are going to change a little bit, but the core is still the same. You need to be able to kite and use your abilities. So Maokai is actually chasing me right now. I'm going to walk auto, take another step back, turn, use spells, and notice I'm out of range. He's not able to actually hit me with his spells. So that's something that just doesn't happen often enough, because people will just stand in place, auto attack, and use abilities, but they don't move around. When you don't move around, you're just asking to get killed. So try to make sure that you're working more on moving and using auto attacks and spells while moving. But at this point, I'm actually finishing, or I was able to finish a Void Staff, which was what the Blasting Wand was for. I pick up a Seeker's Arm Guard just for the Pike and the Lucian, because they're going to be dealing a lot of damage. At this point, I'm not worried about Maokai, I'm not worried about Heimerdinger, and I'm not really worried about Nautilus. But Pike ends up getting a pull on me, which was probably the last person he really wanted to pull. We do get some good damage off here. Unfortunately, I don't time my W correctly, but I still get the kill there. And at this point, I'm just looking to put damage down on the Maokai. You know, he wants nothing to do with me at this point. It's just too much damage for him. We pick up a ton of kills. Amumu ends up dying. Zilean gets executed by the turret. So at least he didn't give away any shutdown gold or anything, because he is actually 3-0. He hasn't been killed yet, so he is worth some gold. But at this point, this was a very interesting call, so I do want to talk about this. So Lucian is positioning like he wants to try to just cue the wave to clear. I honestly did not expect him to actually flash E in for the kill on my carry. So unfortunately, my reaction was a little bit slow, but you know, the result is the same. Sure, he got a kill on the Jinx, but it's not like the Jinx had a shutdown gold on her or anything. So that wasn't really worth it for him, in my opinion, because now he's dead for, you know, 40 seconds. We're able to get a turret, so we're able to get a Nexus turret. Akali just goes really hard in the paint. You know, I can't really get in that close. There's quite a few of them there, and I'm pretty low. So I decide to try to actually rush this inhibitor down. Akali ends up dying, so they end up coming for me, and I made an oopsie. A really big oopsie. So I'm just going to fast forward here. We end up getting a dragon. We get a turret. So now finally we're starting to try to make the call for Baron. Unfortunately, no one on the team is really listening. So we decide to do what low elo players do. We got into another fight. I see that positioning. They are all around Akali, so going this way just was not safe enough. I needed to get with the rest of my team. Akali ends up surviving. You know, she just did Akali things. Whatever Akalis do. They press W and shit. So that fight didn't go as bad as it could have. I'll just put it that way. It didn't go as bad as it could have. But at this point, we actually looked to go for Baron, but for whatever reason, they decided to check Baron with absolutely zero vision. So they know that we went this way. They know that we gotta be here, but they still came this way with zero vision. And we have Maokai back here, and Nautilus is coming into the fight. So Maokai is not really going to be able to do a whole lot if a fight starts. He's going to have to like flash over the wall, or he's going to have to walk around it. Nautilus is going to be the first person that can actually respond. And you have a 0 and 8 Heimerdinger and a 4 and 11 Pike. Nothing is going to go right for them. I mean, Lucian is back here. I'm pretty sure he was actually dead still, so he probably just respawned. So this was a really questionable call. What you can do as Heimerdinger is you could probably actually just place a turret. If he really wanted to. If they had no wards, he could have just placed a turret over the wall to get temporary vision at least, to see if we were right there, and then they could have moved. But they didn't do that. They decided to face check the Fog of War. Immediately I just WQ and then I go to put an E and actually use my ult, pick up 2 kills instantly. The fight is pretty much over right there. You know, once again, they're outnumbered. Amumu hitting the mad bandage toss, good ult. And at this point, it just becomes a game of zoning. So we zone Nautilus out, which just leaves these two alone to fight basically the entire team. It just doesn't end well. I mean, they can try as hard as he wants. Nautilus decides to like run into the fight at the very end. I don't know why. You can see the frustration pings from his team, wondering what the hell he was doing. But then we end up just kind of running it down mid and picking up the kill. And that is actually, you know, Pyke decides to go in like a madman. He goes out with honor. I can respect that. But we do end up picking up the kills on Pyke, finishing the game. So I do finish the game 19-4 and 17. So these are just kind of some things, you know, when you're playing in lower elo, try to play a support that's going to be able to bully the lane and pressure people really hard. Because that's what most people tend to not know how to play against. You know, playing against a tank is easy. You know, just stand behind minions to avoid the CC, and, you know, buy like a Last Whisper or something if they're too tanky, or, you know, buy a Lord Doms. You know, it's really not too hard. But when you have a support that can do 3 times as much damage as the AD carry, and almost all of his abilities are AoE, people don't really know how to match against that, and so they end up putting themselves in really weird positions that are easy to fight in. So try working on brand if you're looking to try to get yourself out of lower elos, because even if your AD carry loses lane, pretty much you can still carry the lane yourself, which is why I like to play brand in low elo, because it's all about teamwork. And if you're playing with randoms, it's really hard to get teamwork out of a duo player, or, you know, like an AD carry that you're not actually duoed with. So I'm relying on my AD carry performing without feeding. And in low elo, obviously, you can't always guarantee that. So I like to play brand, so that way, even if my AD carry does not do well and they end up feeding, as long as I don't feed, I can usually still carry the lane myself to make sure that bot doesn't completely lose. And that's one less lane that I have to worry about losing. It's kind of backwards, I guess, to think that way, because obviously if you play mid, you still have 2 lanes that can lose. Or if you play top, you still have 2 lanes that can lose. But at least I can ensure that there's not 2 people that are totally useless. If I play mid and bot feeds, well, I'm just screwed. If I play bot and my ADC feeds, at least I'm not feeding myself. And then, you know, obviously you're still reliant on mid and top and jungle not feeding, but it's just ensuring that bot lane doesn't get snowballed, because I have 2 people in the same lane feeding constantly, and they're feeding the same person constantly. Because then you have to worry about that person all game. At least this way I can try to mitigate that person getting really snowballed by just getting double kill after double kill after double kill. But hopefully you guys maybe learned a few things. I really don't do a lot of commentary over gameplays. Usually I just upload gameplays. So hopefully this was helpful. If not, you know, sorry. I'm really not too good at doing these. But if you do have any questions, you know, leave comments down below. I respond to every comment that I get. So don't be afraid or shy. I will definitely answer any question that you give me. And I hope you guys enjoyed enough to stick around for the next video.